Again, I don't know how much fuel they had on board. I don't know if both engines were working. There's a lot of things we don't know, so it's easy to sit here and say, okay, they should have gone around when maybe they were also having a fuel emergency. Somebody mentioned, what's the airline called? Jeju Air or something?
Jeju, yeah.
Yeah, Jeju Air is from what I understand, is a low-cost carrier, and a lot of low-cost carriers encourage their captains to take minimum fuel, and so they may have had a fuel emergency. So there's a lot of things that we don't know, but based on what we see, I think of the things we're most confident in is probably some sort of hydraulic failure, and the pilots definitely overshot the spot of the runway in which they should have come down in. So that's what I would say, based on just what I would say. The other thing is, I really don't think this needs to, again, and this is not in defense of Boeing, okay? Because I have no horse in the race when it comes to Boeing, but this shouldn't make you fearful of flying. This shouldn't be a conversation about you shouldn't feel safe to get on an aircraft.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to encourage, because what the media is going to do is you're going to see a lot of every aviation related incident is now going to be reported.
Yeah.
So from engine failures to bird strikes to things that may happen more frequently than you know will be big media stories, because they're capitalizing on clicks and the fear that you have of flying. So that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So overall, what's your personal speculation on the matter? What do you think is the likely scenario? Bird strike an engine, and then they just maybe failed to deploy the landing gear manually?
Well, so this is like this. I saw the bird strike. So is a bird strike a factor in this? Because I saw a video of a bird strike.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was a bird strike, then they're working with one engine. And so you can still go around with one engine. You can still fly on one engine. It just makes it harder. I mean, I don't know if you and I flew. So Hassan, this is the 737-800 is the plane that you and I flew in, the simulator.
Yeah.
That is the plane that we flew. And we were able to do a single engine. We were able to fly it with the single engine. So it is possible. And you are also able to fly without hydraulics, but I don't know what degree. It's really hard to speculate because we don't know to what degree the failure impacted the systems of the aircraft. So in my heart of hearts, I want to assume that the pilots did everything that they could, and they're experts. And I mean, they had thousands of flying hours, so I imagine they did everything they possibly could. But I would speculate that, the reason for the overshoot was the fact that they sort of glided it, down half of the runway and ended up, not going around. But they may not have been capable to go around. So it's hard to sit here and be like, they should have gone around. They may not have had enough fuel, or something like that, because it's pretty obvious to go around at that point. You're halfway down the runway. You know what I mean? And
why do you think there was a giant concrete wall at the end of that runway? I don't know if it because it was doing a belly crash landing, that maybe it just went out of control and got off the runway. But I thought that normally it's supposed to have a dirt mound at the end of that runway, so that what we saw with that initial impact explosion is not supposed to happen. Is the Boeing plane that we're talking about, does it have the capability of dumping fuel? And is there a reason as to why they didn't? And also, last but not least, the question I have is was the flames that we saw, the fact that the plane engulfed in flames, is that just simply because of the remaining fuel, or does that happen even if there isn't fuel in the plane, is what I mean?
I mean, I think it happens regardless. There's as far as I'm aware, I think that even if the plane doesn't have any fuel, I think it's going to explode. There's a lot of other things that could blow up. I have no idea. Honestly, that's outside of my realm of expertise. Let me start with your question about the wall, the perimeter wall. I imagine it just depends on the airfield. Like for example, at the end of LAX, it's the Pacific Ocean, and there is a perimeter wall, I think, around LAX for security and things like that. It just depends. It just depends on the airport. Depends on what's around the airport. Sure, some airports have like probably dirt mounds. Like if you're looking at like an airport like Denver's out in the middle of nowhere, and so you just don't. I'm sure there's not as much of a requirement for some sort of perimeter wall.
There's a Boeing 737 pilot in the chat says you can deploy flaps with an electric motor as backup, and the gear hydraulic system A is not connected to the flaps. Hydraulic system B, and no, they can't dump fuel on the B 737.
You can't dump fuel on the 737? Huh.
That's what he's saying.
News to me. I guess he's a pilot, so I obviously don't know. I guess you can't, but you can burn fuel off.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, no, they do not. It says that Boeing 737 all models do not have Boeing 737 all models, the DC-9, MD-80, Boeing 717, and the A320 family, and various regional jet aircraft do not have fuel dump systems installed. I wonder if that's a cost cutting. Do you think that's a cost cutting measure?
I don't know. In the U.S., though, I've heard of like various failures and things that occur, and you need to like have an emergency landing. And a lot of these planes will fly in circles for like hours. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember in the mid 2000s, there was a JetBlue flight that had a landing gear that came down, and it was the front landing gear was twisted. It was like a huge like live. It was broadcasted live, and I think they flew around for a long time to burn all the excess fuel. So I think typically instead of if you can't dump it, this is what they would do. But I think the problem is they may have been on one engine. So I don't know what the procedures of the given airline would be, but like if you're having one engine, you got to land as quickly as possible. I don't know. Maybe that's the procedure. Hey, Hassan, I got to turn my camera off and I just got to go to audio.
Okay.
I got to 1 second.
You got to start driving? No, it's all good. I mean, we don't have to take up more of your time. I'm going to go back to the CNN experts. If you hear something that I'm talking about that you have input in, you can hit me back.
But one thing I can say, and the Boeing pilot should back me up on this, don't fall for this is some sort of, I'm not a Boeing, look, I'm not in the pocket of big Boeing, okay? But I just am so annoyed. It's not even about defending Boeing. It's the fact that it's just not a productive conversation to have until we know all the facts. The Boeing 737 has been in service for like over 30 years in different variations.
Yeah.
So like it's not the MAX plane was a new variation that had a lot of problems, and Boeing should have to pay for those issues. But like the Boeing 737 as a plane has been a very like try and true safe plane over many generations. So like I don't think like this is a reason to like not want to get on a Boeing plane. There's a lot of other factors at play here. Anyway, that's all.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Austin Show, a resident pilot /
not
aviation.
in the pocket of Boeing. In fact, I prefer to fly Airbus. Like actually fly.
Resident Boeing defender in the pocket of Big Boeing.
I'm not in the pocket of Big Boeing. I promise.
Thank you, Austin. Right. Your Boeing check is in the mail. All right. Bye. Okay. That was Austin Show. Like I said, commercial airline pilot, aviation expert. Okay, he's not. He has logged flight hours, like FAA trackable